All right, we are recording our first episode of the offseason following the World Series. And Jesse, we have a massive signing to talk about and break down tonight. Dylan Cease is in agreement with the Blue Jays on a 7-year contract, $210 million. It's a hefty price, but it's hard not to be excited. Dylan Cease, some of the best stuff starting pitchers have in baseball. What do you think?
Well, first things first, it's just good to be back doing this podcast here, especially with how the Blue Jays season ended. And you go from such the high of the World Series run to how it ended to such a low to now getting into that offseason mode. And the first move of the offseason is signing what some people had as the best free agent pitcher on the market. 7 years, 210 million, as you said. Some money stuff is a little complicated, and that we'll get into that a little later in this episode. But absolutely fantastic. And Owen, what I think I love most about this move is not only is it, yes, good team gets good pitcher, therefore we are better, is that the Blue Jays are going out and making a statement saying, we're not happy just to be at the dance. We want to take the dance. The dance belongs to us. And that's what this Dylan Cease signing means to me on my first reaction. I absolutely love it. I'm excited.
Holy, you're so fired up. And honestly, I cannot help but join you there, man. Like, it's so good to be the first team to make a big splash. This is the biggest free agent contract in Blue Jays history. Obviously, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is on the biggest contract in Blue Jays history. First time they've given a pitcher, first time they've given a free agent $200 million. Obviously, making a pitcher contract is even a bigger deal. Like, Jesse, man, like, Dylan Cease is so good, and he's going to be a Blue Jay for the next 7 years. This is a guy that pitches. He's been over 160 innings pitched in each of the last 5 seasons. Most strikeouts in baseball over that span. There's just so much to like. He's a StatCast darling. Like, that fastball is going to be over 97 on average. Like, he in the strikeouts, and he's a starting pitcher, and he's doing this stuff. Like, man, I cannot wait to see him pitch. Like, spring training cannot come soon enough because I just want to see him in Blue Jays blue.
Yeah, so let's get into a little bit about like who Dylan Cease is, why you and I are both very much excited about this pitcher, because you've said 2 things. One, the ability to stay on the field. He's made at least 32 starts every single year of his career. I think he's missed 2 total due to injury, never been to the IL once. Blue Jays starting pitchers have been healthy. You can see that's a trait they like. Bingo. Step 1, perfect. Step 2, as you said, led the strikeouts. I think he has the highest whiff rate of all qualified pitchers last year. So when they swing, they miss it. Bingo. Awesome. Very good. But you might get some more casual fans that go, this guy just had a 4.35 ERA last year. Like, what are you doing? Like, this guy gave up a ton of home runs. When he gets hit hard. Why are we so excited? And we will tell you why we are excited about that here. But what is your first thing you want to say? Like, why are we excited about Dylan Cease? Like, why was this the right move?
I just because I think he's damn good. Like, I think the Jays could have signed the Jays could have signed any of these starting pitchers, like Framber, Michael King, or Dylan Cease, or even like Imai, and I would have been pretty fired up. I would have said, oh yeah, they were my pick for the top starting pitcher. But I think Dylan Cease is easily, like, far and away some of the best stuff as starting pitcher out in baseball, and probably easily the best stuff that any starter had on the market, at least the free agent market this season, unless you're going to pull off some sort of silly trade for Skubal or something along those lines, right? But I think it's a huge trade. It really solidifies the rotation going forward in 2026 and well beyond that. He's a guy that posts, and I think that's the most exciting thing for me is, like, I'm just so confident in the fact that, like, he's going to be pitching every 5 days, and he has a track record to do so. And to be honest, like, the ERA doesn't really scare me. Like, we can dig in super deep later as we get into it, but, like, the peripheral stuff, like the FIP, is in a much healthier spot. The expected ERA is in a much healthier spot. And this is also a Blue Jays team that, like, recently has been probably the best defensive team in baseball, if not one of the best, right? So that Padres defense has apparently let him down. I think that's kind of I can't say for sure. I'm not saying I'm watching a lot of Padres baseball, but apparently that is a little bit of a reason for the inflated ERA on Cease there, right?
Yes, so I'm glad you brought that up because I do have some numbers that can back that up here. First, if you look at the Dylan Cease's BABIP over the course of his career, last season was over 320. The only other year of his career, he had an ERA over 4. It was 330 last year. His career BABIP is in the 295 range, and BABIP doesn't answer everything, but it does have something to do with the defense played behind you. And I found this stat that only 7 pitchers in all of baseball last year had a worse defense behind them than Dylan Cease last year. JP Sears, Bailey Ober, Landon Rout, Verlander, Vargas, like a few names, but only 7 had worse defense behind him than Dylan Cease last season. So therefore, the Blue Jays defense, especially on the outfield and with their main guys they have on the infield, is elite. Like that is going to help reduce that BABIP. And therefore, if you can get Dylan Cease with the fastball slider combination that he has, his ability to miss bats, and when they do get hit in play, more of those things are going to wind up. I bet you're going to get the Dylan Cease that is more of the guy who's posting 3-4, even as high as a 6-4 season that he has in his career. And I think automatically moves himself up to probably the number 1 on our staff, ahead of even Gausman or Yesavage, and on the short list for probably best pitchers in the American League, assuming the defense and assuming the stuff holds going into next year.
Yeah, all due respect to like Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr., but yes. like Dylan Cease has never pitched with Dalton Varsho in center field and Miles Straw, assuming he sticks around. And like this Blue Jays outfield defense has really been like a cornerstone, like something that they can rely on day to day. Over 162 over the last like legit like 3-4 seasons now. It's becoming like a mainstay of like the Blue Jays identity, and a fly ball pitcher like Cease is going to need that, and I think he's going to be a great fit in Toronto. And like he's got the stuff to pitch in the East. Like I'm telling you, like that's the most exciting part for me is like this is a Blue Jays staff that I wish I had the number, but it did not rank well in velocity last year and in years past. And this is a guy in Dylan Cease that I'm telling you he's going to like be like blowing some minds of Blue Jays fans who have gotten used to seeing 92, 93, because he's going to be up there 97, 98 every single night.
Right. And I also am very curious going on about that is how does Alejandro Kirk handle Dylan Cease in behind the plate? Because not only is the swing and miss stuff electric, like Dylan Cease, the one drawback you could say to this pitcher is sometimes he does get a little wild. Like he's twice led the league in walks. He's had a lot of wild pitches in his past. Last year was a little bit different, but so that has historically been a thing that has happened. So I'm very curious to see how Alejandro Kirk can kind of wind in Dylan Cease, because if there is a way that he can keep his electric strikeout swing and miss stuff, but also find a way to limit walks and wild pitches more, there is a possibility that even at 30 years old going into this next season, Dylan Cease could take another step forward, which it's rare at the age of 30, but is not impossible. And I think the Blue Jays are the team that might be best fitted for Dylan Cease to do that going forward.
I think so too. And I think one of the exciting things for me is the changeup that he flashed. He threw it I'll pull it up here. He threw a changeup just 1% of the time in 2025. It's kind of a new pitch for him. He's never really thrown it. That's just 34 changeups this season. But when I was looking at Fangraphs, it had a 109 stuff plus.
Oh, so, that'll play.
Like that'll play, even if it's just against lefties, and like he's a neutral splits guy. So like he's not gonna like really like need a bigger weapon against lefties like right now. Like he gets away with that fastball slider combination, as you can see like they're both 41% of the time. So he really is like a 2-pitch guy, which is rare for a starter, man. Like the fact that he gets away doing that as a starting pitcher, I think tells you a lot about the stuff on those 2 pitches in general. But like as I was saying, like that changeup, if that pitch can like be a legit weapon for him, and like I said, even if it's just against lefties, I think like that's another place where he can improve. I really think that like there's some like growing room for Cease here on this contract.
Right. And, you know, I know it's not exactly the same, but if you're kind of throwing a change up, like having a guy like a Kevin Gausman and a Trey Yesavage, who it's a splitter, it's not the same as a change up. I know I get that, but it's kind of similar, the similar movement. It goes down like that. Those would be great guys to learn from if he wanted to refine those pitches. So something very good, I think, to look for during spring training. I think that's a good call. Oh, and I had a question, and it doesn't have to be long-winded on this, but I wanted to look at what you think the upside could be, not only for 2026, but also long-term through the 7 years of this deal. And then worst case scenario, aside from injury, of course, which he has never been in his career. What does worst case scenario look like for 2026 and in the 7 years going on for this contract?
Okay. So like in the long term, like, and I don't want to lead with this, but I'm going to, he's throwing a ton, man. 160, over 160 innings in each of the last 5 seasons. He is throwing a ton. He's got a ton of innings under his belt, and he's 30 now, so he's going into his age 30 season in 26. Like, that does concern me. 7 years is a long time. He's going to be 37 at the end of this deal. Obviously, something that the Jays were comfortable with to jump the market. Like, they got this deal done early, so the age and like the innings does kind of scare me. Like, you see it with a guy like Jose Barrios. Like, he's not too old, but like all those innings under his belt now have kind of, I don't want to say caught up with him. Like, I think like Barrios is due for a little bit of positive regression in 26. I don't think Barrios is done by any means, but it does like concern me a little bit. At the same time, I think in the short term on this deal, like, Cease has as good a stuff as anybody in baseball, and like getting to work with a guy like Alejandro Kirk behind the plate every fifth day, and a guy like Pete Walker who like has shown an ability to elevate his pitchers and help them get better. I think, like, especially in the short term here, I really believe in Dylan Cease. Worst case scenario, aside from injury, I think it's the same idea. Like, he's a guy that gives up a lot of home runs, and this is a Blue Jays pitching staff that last year especially did give up a lot of home runs. And it's not something I really want to see continue. Like, Cease he's kind of reminds me of Scherzer just a little bit, because it's that fastball at the top of the zone. I'll pull it up here. It's the fastball at the top of the zone and the slider down and away, right? Like, it's the formula that they've been doing since the game has been invented, right?
And they tunnel well off each other, which is why that works. Yes,
exactly. And it's why every starting pitcher does it. Like, it's kind of like the stock righty approach, fastball slider.
Yeah.
So that's what Cease is going to do, and that fastball at the top of the zone can miss a lot of bats, and when it does, it's really, really good. You miss just down with it, you're in middle, and it gets parked, or a hitter gets on top of it, it gets parked in the outfield seats, right? So, like, the home runs are going to be annoying. Like, the walks, like, I know it's going to be annoying. It might not always be the sexiest to watch. So, like, there are concerns here. Like, he's not a perfect pitcher by any means. Like, I'm not sure he's your ace. Like, but he's getting paid like what, I'll tell you that.
And like, he is still really good. Like, even though we're nitpicking at him here, right? They are minor issues, right? Kevin Gausman gave up a lot of home runs this year, and still, if they were only solo home runs, they weren't that big of a deal, right? I want to go back to what you said about Jose Barrios here. And so far through Dylan Cease's career, now he started in 2019. He's thrown just a little over 1,000 innings, made a roughly 180 starts. That's where Jose Barrios was after the 2022 season, so his first full year in Toronto, right? Jose Barrios kind of showed his first few signs of really falling off this year. So they still got 2 full, really good years of Jose Barrios. Maybe this year was a sign coming. At least we know he got injured for the first time this year, right? So there is at least that. So if you're going by that model, which you can't do, they're different pitchers, different people. Exactly. But it could give you at least a sense that you're going to get at least probably 2.5 seasons before you even really have to worry about a stuff in decline or injuries creeping up on him, which if you're the Blue Jays, you're kind of banking then that our window per se is these next 2 to 3 seasons to go out to get this done with Dylan Cease still being this guy, especially you have 1 more year of Kevin Gausman under control. Jose Barrios is still here, right? Shane Bieber's here for 1 more year. Like, this is kind of a move that you kind of go for it and see if you can get back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that is honestly a really good point. I think that's a big reason why the Jays, I kind of had a feeling at least that like they were going to get one of these starting pitchers. Wasn't sure who they'd like the most. Makes sense that they like Cease the most just based on the stuff, and like they clearly like made a point to go out and get this deal done early. It's not something we see this front office do a lot. Like get a deal done early like this, right?
And let's talk about that, like the timing of this move. Like, this was the first real big free agent signing of the offseason. Maybe it was just, it's Thanksgiving for America right now or something like that. So the Toronto Blue Jays are like, yeah, let's turn it back and talk about us, right? Yeah, maybe they caught him sleeping. I don't know. But I think this does say something, because the Blue Jays historically in off seasons past have liked to wait a little bit into the winter before they do. Like, most of their signings last year weren't until January, right? This is kind of rare for this Blue Jays team to be going out and making this move, which I want to hear your thoughts on here, Owen, but I will say this gets me oddly excited, because if they are doing this early, I think it shows a sign of aggression. It shows a sign of intent. It shows a sign of, we are going all in. We are making this team better any way possible. They could have waited to see if that market fizzles a little bit, but they know. They were like, we're getting this guy, a Scott Boras client too, might I add, right? Which is not easy to deal with sometimes. And they just went out and they got their guy and they said, no, we are putting him on the dotted line. We are putting him on the dotted line right now. And I think that is an absolute positive for what this might mean for this team for the rest of the offseason.
Yeah, so I've gone back and forth on that point. So, like, I think you're right. I think the timing does kind of indicate that. And, like, Cease is a guy they've liked in the past. Like,
yes.
I don't have any sources on it, but, like, I know I've seen them linked to him before in trades and whatever. So, like, I think that is what it is. Like, Cease was their starting pitching option. He was their number one guy. And, like, I don't think, like, they just don't overplay guys' markets like that, do they? Like,
right.
I've never seen them do it. Like, you can call Santander an overpay, but, like, it's like 2/3 deferred money. Like, he's making like $7 million in 2026. Like, you can call that a bad contract if you want, but, like, I really just don't see it that way. And, like, other than that, like, they've got the money to play with, so, like, why not go ahead and do it? So, like, if this is like the move for the offseason, and, like, that this means Bo Bichette's walking and they're not players in Kyle Tucker's market, like, yeah, like, then we're having a different conversation come spring training. But I really have a hard time seeing it be that way, right?
Right. And that's kind of what I was thinking, because in years past, the Blue Jays would make one big free agent move, and that would kind of take them out of other moves, right? So this because this happened so early, because it happened when it did, I don't feel like that's going to be the case this year. I still think the Blue Jays are going to be players in the Kyle Tucker market. I still think they're going to go after trying to re-sign Bo Bichette here. They're going to dabble in these international free agents, whether it's Amai, Murakami, or any of the other names on there. They're still going to be looking in that market there. When in years past, like I said, I think it would have been the Dylan Cease move, and then they would have said, well, we have no more room for others. I really don't think that's going to be the case this year.
Man, I sure hope not, because, like, there are still holes. Like, they need a hitter. They do need a hitter, whether that's Bo or Tucker or Bregman or, like, knock on wood, I'm not really sure I'm in on Murakami. The guy can't hit fastballs above 93 miles an hour, according to
seems to be a problem, right?
But that seems like something that's not going to play in the big leagues, just if you ask me. But like, aside from that point, like I really think that, like, the fact that they got this done early, I just had, like, again, I have such a hard time seeing, like, Ross Atkins in this front office overplaying their hand. And, like, is it an overpay? Like, I guess we can get into that. Like,
let's talk money.
It's above the projections. Like, I had ESPN projecting him at 145 over 5, which is a lot less money than he got. It's a very similar AAV. But obviously 2 more years. He's already at 30 years old. Like, you're going to be paying him probably longer than you want to be paying him. Like, was this getting done so early just a matter of, like, the Jays jumped the market and no other team was going to give him this? Like, did the Jays give him the extra year this early?
And that's what I think happened here. I think the Blue Jays might have gone an extra year to get this deal done, which, hey, look, I think you pair that because Ken Rosenthal has mentioned there's deferred money in with this contract as well, right? So that'll join him and Anthony Santander. And I really wonder if this means then the Blue Jays are going to look to backload some of these contracts with deferred money, et cetera. Get the skill now, get the play on the field now, and then worry about the bill a little bit more down the road, which makes me think there is a rebuild coming after this extension. But also, too, when you sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the rest of his life, you're kind of also committing that we're never going to go into a rebuild. So we will see with that. But my first thought was, with the deferred money, with maybe the extra year having to be thrown on to get Dylan Cease, might have meant that, there is going to be a backlog at some point down the line. But we'll worry about that bridge when we get there.
So the other thing I kind of worry about is the CBA negotiation coming up after 2026, right? So, like, there's a lot of talk about a salary cap. I have such a hard time. Like, the players are just not going to agree to a salary cap. It's just
I really hope they don't. Yes.
I do too, because the Blue Jays are currently running like a $250 million payroll and something ridiculous. It's a top 5 payroll. Like, so maybe this is the Jays trying to get ahead of that and being like, 2026 is our last chance to, and this is obviously not the Jays, but ownership and Ted Rogers saying this is kind of our last chance to really like flex that financial muscle that we have over these other teams. And this year they might go crazy and kind of, like, from this point on, like, they're going to be just like everyone else and be stuck in a box. like I kind of worry about that. Do I have any proof that that is what is happening here? No, I really hope it's not. And to be honest, I doubt it because I don't think salary cap is imminent by any means. At the same time, I think it's just really like hard not to appreciate where the salary cap, or not where the salary cap, but where the number is for the Jays. How much they're paying their players these days. It's awesome to see this. Like they're just like they went out and they just paid probably the biggest starting pitching off or a contract of the offseason. So cool to see.
Right. And the Blue Jays historically haven't done that. So it's kind of cool that is in our shoes right now. To your point, Owen, like, yes, the Blue Jays front office is going to be thinking about these salary cap reasons and all that stuff and potential negotiations. I know they were asked about this when the automated strike system was being voted on as well, because the Blue Jays have Alejandro Kirk, who's really good. And they had even mentioned too, it's like, we don't like the rule, but until we see that rule on the field, we're going to act as like it's not there. And I think that is kind of how this is going. They don't know what changes are going to happen in the CBA. So until it does, they're going to act like they're working on this CBA. And I think that worked well for the Blue Jays there. So, they'll figure it out when that time comes, and so be it. But I think I think they're doing it right. You have to treat it like it is. And two, Owen, this team just made like $50 million extra coming off that big playoff run they had. So if you're asking Ted Rogers for money, Ted Rogers got damn TV time after the Blue Jays won the American League, for goodness sake. He's living a great life. He's counting all the millions. And you're asking, hey, you want to do that again this year? Do you want to go out and win the World Series next year? How about the year after that? How about we become a dynasty? How about you get to have this feeling every year for the next 3 or 4 years? All we got to do is give Dylan Cease $210 million and we're on our way. Sure, we'll sign up for that, right? And so that's where I think this is coming from.
Yeah, man. And if you look at like what came off the books this year, like just between like Scherzer and Bassett, like Bassett at 22 and Scherzer at 15.5, that's $37.5 million. So if Cease is at 26, like Mitch Bannon reported that the deferred money was going to be about 26 million against the tax. So that gives you like 11.5 to work with, like for your fifth starting pitcher without like including Bassett or Scherzer. Maybe Bassett wants to come back on a discount. Like I don't know, like right, but it's not even that silly to think about. Like the long term on this deal, maybe not the greatest thing in the world, but like as far as 2026 goes, like your books are so clean. I think there's lots of room to sign like a dude, a hitter. I really want a hitter.
So I do also want to talk hitters. I think you and I both think they're going to sign a hitter, whether that's Bo, Tucker, or some combination of hitters. But I want to still look at the rotation here. And right now our rotation is Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cease, Trey Yesavage, Shane Bieber, and Barrios would be that number 5 right now. We just got word today that Easton Lucas has been released. He's going to pitch overseas, right? So Eric Lauer is our 6th starter at the moment. We don't have much beyond that, right? Maybe they stretch out Louis Varland. There are a few interesting names down in the prospect. There are a few guys who started for Buffalo the years that could fill in. But do you think the Blue Jays are done adding to this rotation right now? Then?
I have a really hard time. They're not done. Like we might get like this year's version of Eric Lauer. Like maybe Chris Bassett wants to like like I have such a hard time seeing this team existing without Chris Bassett. Like I don't know why. Like just like the amount of like stories he was in and like how big of a role he played in this playoff run. Like he meant so much to this team. And like right now, as you look at it, like maybe there's not a lot of room for him. Like I really don't want to see Louis Varland starting. So like I think there's room for,
with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't think the stuff is going to play like that's a fastball that needs every mile an hour it has, because it doesn't, like it gets hit hard, man. Like it doesn't play like 101 should.
Yeah, that's weird.
But yeah, like I don't.
Sorry for another day.
Yeah, it's a story for another day. I don't like. I want to be happy. Jays are signing Dylan Cease. They made the first big splash. Like we're good. Like so the point being, like there's definitely room for a starter. I think like something that like I've been kicking around in my head is like, how do you get off Barrios? Like there's no way he's opting out of this contract, right? Like
very unlikely.
He was not fun to watch this year. Like he was, and I hate to say this about Jose Barrios, but like man, he was bad this year. Like the wheels fell off towards the end of the season. Like, so if there's a way to get off of that, I think you have to find a way to do it. You're going to have to eat some of the money, but maybe it opens up a spot for Bassett or Scherzer to come back and like really solidify that 5th spot in the rotation. And even if you don't, like one more depth guy to start the season in Buffalo, protect you from injuries. Like Like, this is a rotation that has been miraculously healthy, and none of these guys are getting any younger. So I think there is more room in the starting rotation.
Yeah, and I think the Blue Jays should be quite serious about adding another like key name. Like, you've mentioned Jose Barrios being bad last year, right? It could just be a one-year thing. Maybe this is the start of the decline. Trey Yesavage, still a rookie, took a massive innings jump last year. Like, Baseball Reference only has projected for like a 62 inning season next year, right? So that is very surprising to me.
That's shocking. That's actually 62 innings.
It might be 65, but it's less than 70. I know that.
That's insane, man.
Right, especially coming off the big innings jump he had this year. So there must be factoring in maybe he gets injured, maybe he yo-yos between the big leagues and the minor leagues. Who knows? Yeah. Kevin Gausman was great. On the wrong side of 30, though, right? Shane Bieber, he'll be another year back from Tommy John. I think he's the one I have the least concern about. But there are still question marks in that rotation that the Blue Jays should go out and still add another guy. I'm not saying go get Framber Valdez. We have other needs elsewhere. Maybe not even the Michael King tier, but get a guy who you know can start, you know you can rely on. If he pitches you to a 3.941 ERA over 150 innings, I think they should be in that market.
It sounds a lot like Chris Bassett to me. I don't know. And we know the culture fit, and we know how much he meant to this team. Like, I think I'm a big Chris Bassett guy. Obviously, I'm going to advocate for him to come back. Like, I think he'd be a great fit, and we know he's a great fit. I think knowing what he can do, like, I'd be excited to see it. I think, like, the rotation's in such a good spot, but like you mentioned, like, Trey Yesavage is like not a guy, like, which is crazy to say. He's not a guy that I'm all that confident in going into 26, right? Like, the workload buildup is going to be so much bigger than like he's ever dealt with. Like, going every 5 days over 162 is like a lot to ask a guy that's going to be 23 years old, and like, he's not going to be the guy that we saw pitching in the playoffs and in the World Series. Like, I just want to get ahead of that. Like, he's not going to be that guy. He's going to show flashes of it, but he's not going to be that guy every single start. He's not going to be contending for a Cy Young. Okay. And
he wasn't this year either. He had a couple bad starts in there sprinkled in with the good ones, right? So
exactly.
That's probably what you're getting with him.
So, like, we're going to, like, slow down on that. I think the rotation's in a great spot. Like, between, like, Cease is probably going to slot in as your number one guy. Gausman, him as the 1-2 punch, and then like Yesavage, Bieber as 3-4. Like, you're in a really, really good spot. And whatever you do at 5, whether it's Barrios on opening day or Chris Bassett and Barrios is out of here, like, I think it's really hard not to like what you're seeing in the Jays rotation right now.
Right. Ricky Tiedemann's a name to know, just added to the 40 man as well. We'll get a big long look at him at spring. There were a bunch of prospects coming up through the system. Cal Steven, Johnny King are names to know. Maybe not affecting this year, but are guys who have shown
Gage
big
Stanifer's around too.
Gage Stanifer, fantastic choice, right? I think I said Cal Steven. He was traded in the Beaver.
Yeah, he was traded.
Yeah, but either way, but there are names down there that could be relevant with a big spring. Bowden Francis still exists, right? So there are names to know that could potentially. There is room, I guess, for a surprise to happen, kind of like Eric Lauer was this year, and Eric Lauer's still here. So there's that. The Blue Jays.
Eric Lauer really effective this year. Really played a huge role in helping this team win the American League. He's kind of disappeared once the playoffs started, so maybe that tells you what the Jays actually think about him. But like I said, and Cal Steven is he's actually Shane Bieber now. So he's gonna have a hard time playing a role in the 2026 Blue Jays. But yeah, I think the starting rotation is something that I'm super excited about. You mentioned Ricky T. We don't have to do too much on it, but my hot take is bullpen him. Send him right to the bullpen, man. He's gotta and if he stays healthy over a season in the bullpen, then maybe we can get a look at it in 27. But stop wasting bullets in the minor leagues trying to build him up. Like, he has not shown he can be healthy. I want to see him. I want to see that big lefty arm. Like, that stuff's going to play up, and it's already nasty. I want to see him
from a low arm slot too. Like, that could really play, right? Yeah. You have Yesavage with the high arm slot coming in with his nasty splitter, and Tiedemann's almost at 3/4 coming in from the left side. You might be onto something there, Owen.
Yeah. Oh man, I think Ricky Tiedemann would be he could be like a closer in Major League Baseball. Like, I think if you just let him do it, that's the easiest way to keep a guy healthy is let him come out of the bullpen. I think it's about time. I'm sick of reading about Ricky Tiedemann getting hurt and not actually getting to watch him pitch.
Hey, you know who else came from that low arm slide with a wicked slider from the left-hand side? Andrew Miller is the first name that comes to my mind, and he was, as the Blue Jays saw in 2016, absolutely dominant. So maybe there's that path we could go through. And look, the Blue Jays tried too long with Nate Pearson. right? Maybe he should have always been a reliever this whole time, right? They tried to extend Aaron Sanchez for so long, right? Like he had a good year in 2016, but maybe he was always best served in the bullpen. So you might be onto something there, but that's enough about Ricky T. Let's, I think we should turn back to Dylan Cease here.
Yeah, was there any,
yes. Was there any other points of information you wanted to highlight here?
I'm looking through the notes, like not really. I think like I'll pull up just the basic Savant page, and like I feel like I'm Kramer and Seinfeld, like my room's all red because it is bright red, man. Like there's not much to dislike. Like we touched on the fastball velo. He misses bats as good as any starting pitcher in baseball. Like the walks are going to be an issue, but like the strikeouts are going to make up for it. Like, does he get hit hard every now and then? Yeah, but like I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I think, the Blue Jays are looking. So when the Blue Jays sign pitchers, the thing it seems like they admire the most is being able to stay on the field, right? And being able to suppress base runners. Now, that doesn't necessarily get there with the walks, but like the Blue Jays built their offense by putting the ball in play, by creating havoc all the time. And then their run prevention strategy is let's get the best damn defense out there possible, right? Let's get guys who limit contact on balls in play. And Dylan Cease fits that to a T, right? So in hindsight, after this signing has happened, of course it happened. This was like the biggest, absolutely, this is exactly the type of guy the Blue Jays would want the whole time. I think the $1 million question with Dylan Cease is, can he limit those walks? And can the home runs he give up be solo home runs? Instead of, are they home runs like I think the absolute worst case scenario is what happened to Brendan Little, right? He can't throw a strike. All of a sudden he puts one in the zone and it's a 2-run homer the other way. I'm not saying Dylan Cease is Brendan Little. Please do not quote me on that. But that is like absolute worst case scenario. And I still think we're years away from having that. So I think we're good. I think it's all systems go.
Yeah, I can't help but agree. Like I think, yeah, he's obviously a stuff guy. So like as the stuff declines, like I'm telling you, it might get ugly in year 5, 6, 7 of this deal. But until then, like he should be contending for Cy Youngs. Like the stuff is that good. I'm super excited about this deal. I'm excited to actually get to watch him pitch, work through a game. And man, they got this deal done so early that we're going to have to wait like 3-4 months just to see it.
Mm-hmm. But that's good. Ross Atkins will have a press conference coming up within the next week. I'm sure we will see what he has to say about that. Baseball Reference has the projection on Dylan Cease. Now, I think they didn't know what team he was going to sign with when they made this projection, so take that in with a grain of salt. But they've got 163 innings, a 4.20 ERA, a 1.26 WHIP, 190 strikeouts with 64 walks. How do you feel about that projection?
Yeah, like so that ERA is still inflated, so it's interesting. Like I will never understand. Like he's a guy, like he does give up a lot of homers and a lot of walks, so like I guess like that's where it comes from. But like
I would assume so.
The FIP is always in a good spot, so like I just don't get why. Like I need to see more of it to really understand what happens to him. Like you do the what is the other fan base think about it tests, and like I just did a little bit of scanning on Twitter this afternoon. And Padres fans are like, oh, like good luck Jays fans, like fake ace kind of stuff. So like, and that's just like I don't know, man. Like he's got the good stuff, and I'm not really worried about it. I think like it'll play up in the AL East, but like at the same time, like when another fan base isn't like devastated to lose their guy, like it does kind of give me reason for concern. Like I'm interested to see, like actually dig in and see the process behind it before like I make too many assumptions and get too far ahead of myself. Like I think he'll probably outperform those projections, and I think like the inflated ERA is not something I'm really concerned about. Like we know that ERA doesn't really matter as much as it used to. Like we're worried a lot more about process and strikeouts versus walks, and how he gets those strikeouts and how he walks those guys, right? And the stuff that that gets him there, right? And like all that stuff is pretty solid with Cease. So like I think the Jays know what they're doing. I think he's their guy, and they don't miss on starting pitching free agent acquisitions. Yeah. It's just not something they do. So
yes, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because if there is one skill per se that you think this Blue Jays front office might have, is they've nailed their free agent starting pitching yes. And so I think of that as one of two ways. One, it's either a skill that the Blue Jays front office has. They're either really good at this, or two, they've just gotten kind of lucky. And like all things in baseball, regression is coming. And eventually there will be one that doesn't happen. Now, maybe baseball has just ruined me that way, because that's how I think about like everything in life now. I like to think it's the former rather than the latter there. But yeah, if this is a skill this Blue Jays front office has, then Dylan Cease and the Blue Jays, like that seems like a perfect match mixed together there. So I think that works quite well. Owen, if you're still there and you're not frozen, Dylan Cease did pitch against the Blue Jays earlier this season. And I was at this game, so spoiler. But do you remember how Dylan Cease pitched against the Blue Jays this year?
Oh, man. I remember it was solid, but I know the Jays swept that series, so it can't have been that solid.
So it was a 3-0 win for the Toronto Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays only got 3 hits in that game. They had a 2-run home run by Santander, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had a solo home run. So you talk about both of them were off Dylan Cease, right? And I believe the 2-run home run was an Alejandro Kirk walk, and then Santander hit a home run off him after. So it's, he ended up going 7 innings, only the 3 runs allowed, 2 of them on earned runs and by home runs. And I think that is the recipe that we're going to see from Dylan Cease. He'll give up a home run, he'll give up 2, right? But still, he went 7 innings, got only the 3 runs allowed, and he struck out 6. Blue Jays don't really strike out that much, so 6 is probably a good number against us there.
That sounds like the Dylan Cease experience to a T from what I know about him, and honestly, I can sign up for that if it's going to legitimately be like 30, 32 starts a season over the next 7 seasons. Like, sign me up for that 7 days a week. That is, like, that's good stuff. Dylan Cease, I think I think obviously the Jays are going to pay him like the top starting pitcher in this class. Maybe Framber will outdo this contract, but like he's making ace money, and this is something that the Jays do really well. So I think that like I trust them on this, and I'm really, really excited about it.
Yes, and before we wrap up our thoughts here, I just wanted to like look at some things like how has Dylan Cease faced against some of the best hitters in the American League East. Well, Aaron Judge is 4 for 13 off of him. I'm going to look up some other big right-handed hitters, like Stanton versus Cease. This is great podcasting right now, but just see how some of the other American League East opponents have hit against Dylan Cease. I'll look that up in a minute and figure that out.
That's all right. So I can cover you a little bit here. Like, I think,
perfect.
I think when you're in the AL East, in a division like the AL East that features some of the best offenses in baseball, like the Yankees scored the most runs in baseball this year. The Red Sox scored the 7th most runs in baseball this year, and the Jays scored the 4th most runs in baseball this year. Baltimore is going to be taking a step forward. The Rays are never to be counted out. I think you need guys like Dylan Cease who have legitimate ace stuff, and like the walks, yes, they're going to play a factor in it. And if he can like find a way to limit those as much as possible and limit the home runs as much as possible, like it's going to do even more for him. But like just like a team game planning for a guy like Cease is a lot different than game planning for a guy like Gausman or Yesavage. And I think that it's really going to do the Jays, like, it's really going to give a whole different look to the pitching staff, a look that they have not had in years past. And I think that's what's the most exciting part about it to me, just the pure stuff. Like, there are going to be electric outings where, like, he looks legitimately unhittable. And I think that's just so much fun.
Yes. Maybe a little off topic here, but like, which Blue Jay pitcher is most likely to throw a no-hitter this year? Yesavage, Gausman, Cease, or the field? Because we're gonna get one eventually. One year, it's gonna happen.
I'm good. My point is, they are so due for one. Like, they need one. It's Dave Steve, and that's it, right? So, like, I really want it to be Gausman, but like we saw it with Bowden Francis, like it could be anybody. It takes, you have to be hot for 9 innings, and you need a lot of luck. So, like, I think Gausman's the pick. Like, we know when Kevin Gausman's on, like, he's like kind of legitimately untouchable, and he gets a lot of ground balls. So I think that's kind of the formula. My pick is going to be Gausman, but I think Dylan Cease, like, he could have like one of those like 12, 13, 14 strikeout games where he's kind of untouchable.
Mm-hmm. And then you're going to see that, and you're going to be like, this was absolutely worth the $210 million, right?
Yeah, man. Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah, I think $210 million is a lot of money. It kind of what this offseason market's going to look like. Like we were kind of like down on the market a little bit. Like Rizal Iglesias, guys were opting in. Like Iglesias only made 16 mil from the Braves on a 1-year deal. And obviously, reliever contracts are a whole different animal than like ace starting pitcher contracts. But like at the same time, like we saw it with the Trent Grisham opt-in with the Yankees. Like maybe we were kind of thinking that the offseason was going to be like a little bit quieter. Teams may be worried about the CBA negotiation coming up and whatever. But Jay's kind of jumping the market here.
Yeah, they don't care.
No, they do not care at all. And to be honest, like, would hate to be a fan of one of those teams that does care. Like, sorry for my Guardians fan roommate and all my Pirates fans out there, but this is way more fun than cheering for one of those teams. I'll tell you that.
And the Blue Jays have been the Guardians and the Pirates at some point in their franchise history. There was an era where that was the case. So there's hope for you Pirates fans, for your Guardians fans, that you can get out of that. I want to put the $27 million per year into context and just kind of share some other players around baseball that are making $27 million. Carlos Rodon, Dylan Cease's former teammate, making $27 million this year. Sonny Gray, who just got traded to Boston, $25 million a year. Sean Manaea, Nathan Eovaldi, they're in that range. If you go just a little bit lower, you'll hit like Robbie Ray, Luis Severino, Seth Lugo, Aaron Nola. So that is the range of pitcher dollar figure Dylan Cease will be making this year. And when you frame it like that, sounds about right. I think I'd take Dylan Cease over almost any of those names that we mentioned there. So
I think that's where he belongs, right? Like that's second, third starter money, and like I've been kind of hesitant to call Dylan Cease an ace. I know he's getting ace money, and I think like second, third starter is where he slots in. Like I think it's gonna be when it's all said and done. I'm very confident that this will be a deal that the Jays look back on and they're like, we don't regret this one bit.
And especially if this is the move that gets into the World Series. He could be dog water for 6 of these 7 years. But if that 1 year he's good is the year they go to the World Series, then this contract is absolutely worth it every single day.
Every single day. Like, just go win the AL East again or get in the playoffs to the wild card or whatever you got to do and go win a bunch of playoff games. Like, I know the playoff numbers, I don't think they're very sexy with Cease. But at the same time, like, that can turn around in one postseason run. Like, it was this huge story with David Price, and he was awesome for the Jays in the playoffs. Like, that stuff can turn around in one run and to change an entire narrative, right? So, I'm not really worried about playoff numbers when I'm signing a starting pitcher, right?
Yeah, and like I looked it up, it's he had 2 bad starts with the Padres in 2024, where 8 of his 11 postseason earned runs have come in there. So they still count. Yes, but I think they're a little bit overblown, as most baseball stats in a small sample are. Owen, do you have a prediction then after this Dylan Cease signing of what comes next? Like, what is the next move the Blue Jays make?
Yeah, for the Jays. I told you I really want to bat. I bet you it slows down from here because it's still very curious to me how eager the Jays were to make this move. Like, it's so early. So like my first inclination is to be like, okay, they're going to take a step back. They're going to read the market. They're going to see where they can find some value. So that makes me think that they're going to wait out a Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette thing. They're going to wait for one of those dominoes to drop, see if they can't win that sweepstakes, and then they're going to pivot to the other one. So they're going to wait on Tucker and then sign Bo. Like, I think that's my prediction.
It makes sense. And I wonder if the Blue Jays have told the agents of these players that before you sign elsewhere, circle back to us, right? Like, if Kyle Tucker has an agreement in with, say, I don't know, the Mets, who just cleared up an outfield spot with a trade, right? If they're going over there and they're thinking of signing Kyle Tucker, maybe the Blue Jays just say, come back to us before you do, right? And see if that can be the route they go.
I mean, I sure hope so. Like, I don't want to do like the Kyle Tucker versus Bo conversation. I think, first of all, I think there's space for both of them.
Sure. Just go all out, sign everybody.
Like, why would you not do that? I think that's going to be. I think especially the signing makes that like very, very unlikely. Like, I think you're just as likely as you were before the signing, if not more likely, to get one of those guys. I think you're much less likely to get both. So, if they win the Tucker sweepstakes, like, I think that'll tell me a lot about Bo Bichette's fate and his future with the Jays. And if they don't win the Tucker sweepstakes, I am pretty confident that the Jays will be going all in on Bo Bichette, right? Like, so.
Yeah, it does seem like it's one or the other now, right? And then every other move maybe is a good bullpen arm still to come, but I don't think now they'll be shopping in like the Edwin Diaz tier of reliever. I think they'll be targeting like the next tier down of relief pitchers to try to find a guy in that range to put out their bullpen, especially if they sign either Bo or Kyle Tucker. Just a thought, they might just sign everybody because why not? Rogers has the money, My Sportsnet Now subscription just went up, so use some of that money to go get some of these players. They got the postseason revenue too. Like why not, right? But that's where my head's at.
Yeah, if it's me, like I think I'm okay on paying a reliever a whole bunch of money. Like I think you can find very valuable relievers, like Brendan Little, and like say what you want about the postseason and the way he finished this season, but like was legitimately like one of the Jays' best relief options for almost this entire season. He got
I wrote him up on Jay Center as reliever of the year this year, right?
Yeah,
because his body of work for the whole season was phenomenal.
Dude, he was legit awesome for like most of the season. He had like the best whiff rate and chase rate in baseball, like for large chunks of the season. Like, and like my whole point with that is, like one of the most important relievers on the best team in the American League was playing for like the minimum, and where did he come from? Like the Cubs, I want to say. Like, is that right? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
like
off a waiver claim.
Yeah. Like he's a waiver claim. He came from like literally nowhere. They got him for free, right? So like my point is that. Like I'm okay on signing an Edwin Diaz. Like I know you pay for the saves and you pay for like that solidified back end guy, but like it's not something this front office usually does. And like I'd rather them spend the money on stuff that's really hard to acquire, and that's hitters and really, really good hitters like Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker.
Right. Like this team doesn't seem to have the problem with developing the like Miles Straw guy, or they're fine to go get the Isaiah kind of Leffer type off waivers. But it's those high end starting pitchers, and it's the bats that are special. Right, those are hard to get, and the Blue Jays kind of have to go about and get this. I just skimmed over Shai Davidi's recent article on Sportsnet, talked about Dylan Cease, and he hit the hammer on the head. What you were saying earlier about how the Blue Jays have always been interested in Dylan Cease. He reports in here that the Blue Jays tried to acquire him last offseason, and that pitching coach Pete Walker and assistant Sam Green have made it clear to him on how they can get Dylan Cease to be a better pitcher. So two things you've echoed earlier this episode already. Now there's proof to the pudding to back all that up.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to see it. I'm really like, and as maybe I've not been like singing his praises from the mountaintops this entire episode, but like I am very, very excited to see like a guy with some of the best stuff in baseball, like put on the uniform, work with this pitching staff or this coaching staff, join an already very, very solid rotation and join an already very, very good baseball team and make them better and go win a bunch of baseball games. Like,
amen.
It's so much like the fact that this is when we get to talk about like knowing how 2025 ended. Like, I think we deserve this. I think we really did. And I'm looking forward. Like I'm hooked now. Like I want to know what comes next.
Yes, and I hope we don't have to wait too long to get that, maybe a Christmas present under the tree or something like that for the Blue Jays. But I do think this proves that they are going to be busy and that there are more moves here to come. And I think it's going to be quite a busy offseason. I have two very rapid fire questions before we get out of here, but if you have any more points before I find this out.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think we've covered this from a lot of angles. And let's be honest, as soon as we get off of this, we're going to think of 17 more things. It's like, man, I wish I would have said this, but such is life. Right.
Good news. First thought, there will be more podcast episodes soon, so.
Yes. Stay tuned. Subscribe to that channel, download 5-star review, all that fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Is Dylan Cease your opening day starter?
Oh, tough question. No, it's Kevin Gausman still. Kevin Gausman did too much for you. He's their guy. Dylan Cease is making all the money, but I want it to be Gausman, I think.
Yes, and ultimately it'll come down to how things go in spring, but I think the Blue Jays have had a history of giving a nod to the guy who has been there, done that. For that reason, I think it will be Kevin Gausman as well. Second thing, Dylan Cease has come top 5 in Cy Young votings twice in his career so far. Does he win one over the 7-year deal with the Toronto Blue Jays?
You're going to hate me if I play it safe and I say no.
I mean, that's the safe bet, right?
Yeah, it is playing it safe, and like that's the way less fun answer. I think like the ERA just probably will never get to a good enough spot. Like I think he's too liable to give up home runs. Like, and that's like the thing with Cease. Like, is like when it looks good, like it looks just as good as anybody in baseball. But like it does have a tendency to not blow up on him, but like get ugly on him just enough to make that ERA look kind of way uglier than it deserves to be. Right.
Right. Then how about if I rephrase and say top 5? How many top 5 finishes in Cy Young does he get over these 7 years?
7 years? I think we might get one. I think we might get 1 or 2. I'm not like, I think he's not a guy that's going to age super well. Like, he needs the stuff, like the command. He's not like, he is a stuff guy. He's not a finesse guy. Like, and those guys don't age as well as the finesse guys do. So like, it's got to come early, and he's pitched a lot, right? So like, I don't know. Like, I think he's going to be very good. I think he'll be solid. I don't see Dylan Cease as an ace, if that's fair. Do you think, like, what do you think?
I think Dylan Cease is probably the best starting pitcher on the market. I liked him more than Framber Valdez. Maybe MI gets there, right? But I like him more than Michael King. I like him more than all these other guys. But he's not Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, any of those guys. He's in like the next tier of starting pitching. And I know Padres fans, the whole fake ace thing, whatever, like, I get that there's merit to it, right? But all the stuff under the hood, all the stuff that we like, all the stuff that we know can predict how good a pitcher is going to be, Dylan Cease passes that check mark. And so I'm going to rely on that is who the real Dylan Cease is, right? Going forward. And that is what my expectations are going to be.
So what do you think? Like 2 top 5 finishes, 3?
I think I'd put the line at 1.5, right?
Okay.
And
that's about where I put it. Like,
right. And because I want to be optimistic, because it's the offseason, we can dream a little bit on our team. I'll take the over. I say he gets to 2.
I love that. I hope you're right. And I think, like, there's all the reason in the world to believe in Cease, except for that ERA number. And like a lot of people are going to get caught up on that. I fear that I may have gotten a little bit too caught up on that, as we're having this conversation here, right? Like, I want to make it very clear, like, Cease is probably definitely the starting pitcher with the best stuff on the market, and he probably deserves every cent of this contract that he's going to make, and I think he's going to be an awesome Blue Jay going forward.
Me too. And everybody who's watching at home, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching on the socials, let us know what you think of the Dylan Cease signing. Yeah. Tell your friends, brag, because look, it's never been more exciting to be a Blue Jays fan than it has been over these past 6-8 months now, right? And if you were on the bandwagon and you just jumped on board for the playoff run, you are in for a treat with what's going to happen this offseason and getting into next year. So leave a comment, share, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, man, I think 2025 legitimately could be like just the start of what we're going to see like from the Blue Jays and the rest of the 2020s, like thinking like that big picture, like, man, like it's super exciting to see like what this team has going on, like all the strides that they've taken, like as an organization as a whole, talking about the renovations of the Rogers Center and the player development complex, what they're doing to develop players. They signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for $500 million. Like, this is not your dad's Blue Jays. Like, this is
that's right.
This is a new era of Blue Jays baseball, and man, it is so much fun to be a fan right now. And if you're just hopping on the bandwagon, like, stay for the ride, enjoy this offseason, enjoy 2026, and enjoy Dylan Cease as a Toronto Blue Jay. Jesse, I'm ready to get out of here if you are.
I've had my fill. I'm sure there will be lots more to say about Dylan Cease as we get into the offseason. And I'm sure you and I will touch back about Dylan Cease at some point this offseason as well. But until then, you've heard our take. Let us know what you think. And we'll get excited to see him take the mound in Dunedin, Florida at some point this spring.
Absolutely. Jesse, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And thank you to everybody who tuned in to this podcast episode on Jay Center. We've had a lot of fun doing these. We were live streaming throughout the postseason. And I think Jesse and I are super excited to bring you more podcast episodes like throughout the off season and going into 2026 on a Blue Jays team that is, like I said, so exciting. So stay tuned for more. And I guess we'll talk to you guys soon. Hopefully, we get a little bit more Blue Jays news in the near future here, and we get to talk a lot more often throughout this offseason. Dylan Cease is a Blue Jay. We'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.